Hi, everybody. Welcome to Upon Further Review. It's week whatever. I don't know. So how many week it is? Seven, 8. It's going by real fast. We've had a hurricane-like season here. As always, we're sponsored by Colin Tarker, Butler Health Systems, Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, and Penn United Technologies. This is Derek Pida. I'm Mike Hickory. This is John Henrietta, who was a late addition to our show. He's covering. He's on assignment tonight, but his assignment is a little later than we thought, so he's with us. So good to have you with us again. We're going to be a duo now. We're a trio.
Immediately after this show, I'm heading out to Coin City for our Slippery Rock Coin City Boys Soccer Showdown.
This should be a good one. But let's get into the American football, not the,
there you go.
Not the football,
all right.
As it's called other places. Last week we had some interesting games, some interesting outcomes. I want to ask your guys your opinions on that. John, we'll start with you. What kind of stuck out to you from last week's slate of interesting games?
Well, one game stuck out to me in a negative fashion, and one game stuck out to me in a positive fashion. The positive fashion game was Coin City coming back at Kane down 9. I knew that'd be a tough game. I believe I picked Coin City to win this game, but certainly not in the fashion that they won it. They were down 9-0 going into the fourth quarter on the road against a once-beaten Kane team and scored 22 to end up winning the game 22-9. That surprised me, the fashion and the way that game played out. Definitely surprised me.
It's a good sign for Current City because last year there was a flip-flop for them last year. They lost games in the fourth quarter. This one they won.
And on the negative side, the Union AC Valley train got derailed last week.
Big time.
5-game win streak going into that game. I think we all liked them to win that game. And Keystone, there's no other way to put it. They just rolled over them. I mean, they had a 30-0 lead before the Falcon Knights got a first down. That shocked me, and that final score of 44-14, it definitely shocked me.
All right, Derek, what were your impressions from last week?
I can't say I'm floored by the fact that Mars beat North Hills. I picked North Hills to win a close game, but just the fact that North Hills came the closest to stopping Ruffner. I think he had, 20 yards, something like that in the first half?
19 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
And they found a way to get him going in the second half. Their defense plays really well, and they come out of Morrelli Stadium with a 14-7 win. And as Scott Heinauer said, that's a tough place for anybody to go in and be successful. So Mars, that was, I think, the last chance they had, the last good chance they had to lose before the end of the regular season. I think they're going to run the table now. We'll get our picks later. But Heinauer got the kids up for that game. Ruffner had a rough going in the first half, and they got him going in the second half. And that Mars defense has to be given credit to holding North Hills to 7 points.
John, you have something to say?
I do on that North Hills game. You can't get the way to stop Ruffner is the way that North Hills stopped in the first half. Don't let Mars have the football. I mean, I think Mars ran 3 plays in the second quarter. North Hills was beating them at their own game, just pounding the ball. That's what Mars loves to do to people. It was done to Mars by North Hills in the first half. They just couldn't sustain that for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it's hard to play with your Teddy Ruffner doll when he's
in
the toy box.
That's right.
And that's
exactly it.
That's what North Hills did to him in the first half. But he got his yards in the second half, and Mars got the win. Last week, one thing that stuck out with me, last week we talked about Slippery Rock. We talked about how if they play a clean game, they put it together, they can be one of the best teams in District 10. Well, it looks like they did that against Conneaut. Obviously, Conneaut was missing their quarterback. That was a big thing for them. But as far as I know, he's not 11 guys on defense. And Slippery Rock ran for over 300 yards. They had a bunch of guys contribute to this. It looks like they got it together at the right time because they needed this win, and they needed to win this week against Hickory. So that stuck out at me that maybe Slippery Rock was putting it together, and they're going to be a really dangerous team.
Three guys running for over 100 yards in that game.
The three-headed monster they have there. Pelosi, Hyatt, and Duffalo.
That's extremely rare in high school football to have 3 players go over 100 yards.
That's their offense. Those 3 guys are going to get it. Yep. Whatever the defense shows, one guy's. And obviously, Conneaut was trying to take something away. They went to the other guy. They were running that offense to perfection.
I do want to point one thing out there. The 4 games we just mentioned: Mars, Carn City, Union AC, and Slippery Rock. I lost all 4. That was my 4 losses.
Well, I'm sure. I don't think I had a very good week either last week. We'll get those results a little later, I guess.
So that's one thing that stuck out with me. Of course, unpredictable North Catholic was unpredictable. We'll talk about them a little later. And I think no one was too surprised by Knock losing to South Fayette. Maybe by the margin that they did. I thought they would make that a little bit closer than that. And that's pretty much my impressions. We had some interesting games. And we're going to have some interesting games this week. We'll get to those, but first, let's start with our first topic. Let's talk about Freeport. It's 2 years in a row now. They started 0-3, and they came out fighting. Last year they came out fighting, made the playoffs. So it looks like they're on the same path this year. They have some senior leadership. They have their own set of triplets, and Garrett Schaffhauser, the quarterback, Brody Woods, the wide receiver who runs the jet sweep about as good as any wide receiver I've seen in high school run it, and Ricky Hunter, who is a throwback running back. He wears the neck roll, he puts his head down, and he's shifty in the open field. So they have the makings of a team that can make a run. So my question to you guys, we'll start with you, Derek. Is there something to be said for teams getting back in the corner? It seems like we've seen this year after year. Seneca Valley last year in the playoffs, they went on that revenge tour. Montauk last year, they needed to win out to get it, to get in, and they did. And then Freeport did it last year, doing it this year. There's something to be said for high school kids when they're back in the corner, finding something within them to rise to the occasion.
I think there should be something to be said for kind of circling the wagons as a Bills fan. You know all about that.
Yeah, no one circles the wagons like the Freeport Yellow Jackets.
But in this case, in Freeport's case, in this particular case, I think it's just the case of 2 straight years they've gotten the 3 best teams in that conference right off the bat. And nothing. Last year they ran the table to get into the playoffs after an 0-3 start. This year, right now, everything is kind of the same. They lost their first 3. Now they're winning. They're on a winning streak, but they're facing over the next 2 weeks 2 teams with playoff hopes in Burl and Mount Pleasant. So they still got work to do. But so far, it's gone exactly as it has last year, as it did last year.
We talked about Freeport last year, this year, what they've been able to do, with getting back in the corner. You've seen teams get back in the corner. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure.
It seems like teams tend to come out fighting when they're good teams like Freeport tend to come out fighting and find a way to get it done when they're back in the corner.
They definitely do, but I think it's more of a twofold thing, especially with Freeport. Number one, Freeport's a lot of these kids played last year when as you
that was going to be my point. Thanks.
They did that last year, so they know they can do it this year, and they lost to the same 3 teams last year that they lost to this year. So
thanks for stealing my thunder.
I'm sorry about that, Mike.
I should have said it first.
But that's just part of it, though. I mean, I think another part of it is the schedule softens a little bit in some cases, and the final point there is I think a lot of these high school programs, especially the solid programs like Freeport, like a Montauk, they find themselves. I mean, some of these teams, it takes a few games before they get all the puzzle pieces in the right spots, and they just start to click. I think that, and I think you're going to see that happen with Montauk. I think you've seen it happen with Slippery Rock, and I think it happened with Freeport as well, especially with the change of quarterback and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say with Freeport, they've been there and done that. They went through the same thing last year. Just about this whole team was through it. So this isn't anything that's going to rattle them. Nope. I think they know what they have to do, and they're doing it, and they're doing it on the field. And they could have really beaten North Catholic. That game was winnable for them. A couple of things didn't go their way. They could have avoided that 0-3 start. So I think even in that loss, they knew they were good enough to do this, to do what they're doing. And like you said, we're seeing it a little bit with Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock kind of back in the corner with the slow start in the region, the 0-2 start. They're in playoff mode already. They were in playoff mode 2 weeks ago. So there's something to be said for carrying that through the season and going into the playoffs.
I was going to say, if Slippery Rock, I have a feeling if they were to play Sharon again, it'd be a totally different game.
Same thing with City.
I think it'd be a different game because Slippery Rock's a different team now than they were even.
If they keep doing what they did against Conneaut, they're going to be in good shape. Now, topic number 2 here. We'll talk about someone that we talked about a little bit. He's on a team that's struggling, but he's one of the more dynamic players that we have in the county. Cooper Baxter from Butler. John, you cover them almost every week. Is there anyone having a better season than Cooper Baxter that really no one's hearing about because he's on a team that is struggling so much? Because he had a long run against North Allegheny. He's putting up tremendous numbers, relatively speaking, for Butler, passing and throwing. You see him every week. What strikes you about Cooper Baxter that makes him so good in such a tough situation?
I can't help but wonder what his numbers would be like. And if he was inserted into the Mars lineup as a quarterback, for example, or a team like that. Or maybe not trip off's a little bit different, but Mars, I guess, would probably be the best example. This kid is a sophomore. He's put together. He's strong. He's mentally tough. The kid's a wrestler. He's a catcher in baseball. I mean, he does a lot of different things. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. I got to check out what Eric Christie, the Butler coach, told me this morning when I talked to him that Cooper Baxter has become a recruiting tool for that football team, and he has. I mean, he's only a sophomore. He's a player that they can build around. He's a player who can attract other kids to go out for next year's team because they finally have a quarterback who can do it all. And if you guys would have seen that 75-yard run against North Allegheny, that was second quarter. The first team defense was still playing, and they tried to force this kid out of bounds. They couldn't get him out of bounds. They were barreling into him, shoving him. He just tight-roped that sideline.
Was he stiff-arming him?
All the way down? Well, he just tight-roped it. They just couldn't get him off his feet. They couldn't knock him out of bounds. And we're talking about North Allegheny here. Yeah, this kid's he's the real deal, and I'm really hoping for his sake as well as Butler's sake, they get more kids out for the varsity team next year, and because he's going to be there for 2 more years, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you've seen a number of quarterbacks in that mold that can run and throw, Derek. Like John said, put Cooper Baxter on a different team. What kind of numbers does he put up?
Oh, obviously, I mean, this year I covered the Butler Seneca game a few weeks ago, and I think Eric Christie told me that Butler was starting 4 sophomores on the offensive line.
Yep, that game they did. Yeah.
I mean, you got Seneca Valley that has 1 Division I recruit, Kevin Meter. We don't know where he's going yet, but he should be going D1. Josh Kaltenberg is going to Purdue. I mean, you put a kid like Cooper Baxter behind that line. I mean, just look at Gabe Lawson. Gabe Lawson's putting up good numbers again this year, although his rushing numbers are a little down because he also starts on defense. But Lawson's having another all-star year. But 2 guys that I did want to mention, we all know because you keep track of our stats. Yeah. But 2 guys that I don't know if a lot of our viewers are that familiar with. One kid is the Swiss Army knife of Union AC Valley. And I know they're just coming off a loss, but Tanner Merwin. Yeah. He's a receiver. He's well over 300 yards receiving for him this year. He scored at least 1, maybe more rushing touchdowns. I didn't see their box from this past weekend, so he can rush the ball. On defense, he has 4 interceptions, about 40 tackles. He does a little bit of everything. And on a small team like that, where you're dressing 20 kids, you got to have players that can do multiple things. And the other kid is, and Mike, you and I have personally talked about this kid, but I don't know how many people around the Whitbill know who Ethan West is. Obviously, Seneca Valley's opponents do, but here's the thing: his numbers are a little down. He doesn't have great receiving numbers. He doesn't have great rushing numbers. He also starts on defense at cornerback, so they don't want to drive the kid in the ground. He's getting about, between rushing and receiving, he's getting about 12 to 14 touches per game. But every time that kid touches the ball, I believe he has the chance to do something special every single time.
Well, he's getting more touches per game as the season goes on too. I've noticed that.
Yeah, he's kind of phasing in a little bit more.
He's a great athlete. He's only a junior. That's what Gabe Lawson said. The best thing about Ethan West, he talked to me last week about it after the Hemphill game. He said the best thing about Ethan West is he's only a junior. And I looked at Gabe and I said, "Yeah, but you're a senior." He's like, "Yeah, that's right."
The other thing about Cooper Baxter, I want to toss out there is he's basically playing, and I'm not saying this to be smart. This is just how it is. This is just how young Butler is. They're basically fielding a junior varsity team at the varsity level,
pretty much
in Class 6A in that Quad County Conference, which is a meat grinder of the league. And this kid's still putting up numbers. Butler has 30 freshmen on their freshman team this year, and their freshman team is having a solid season. Coach Christie is hopeful that those 30 freshmen can form a JV team at Butler next year. There is no JV team at Butler this year. They're all playing varsity. Because he called it then we can finally progress our players naturally the way they should.
Yeah, instead of throwing them into the
from
fire.
freshman to JV to varsity. And so, but to do that, they need a lot more of the upperclassmen in that school.
They're basically going freshman
to
frying pan.
6A varsity, right?
To frying pan.
Yes,
There's no transition for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Cooper Baxter in a whole different light maybe next year and 2 years down the line.
Absolutely.
When they start getting healthier, and they start getting better numbers, and they start getting people around him, you're going to see he's going to explode. Butler's going to give some of these teams a fight in the coming years.
Yeah, the other kid on that
but
team.
They have to get those kids out, and they have to get something around him. That's the key. They have to get something around him.
Yeah, the other kid on that offense who's really shining this year is Zach Stormer, the wide receiver. He's getting some yardage out of the backfield now as well as that receiver. But the problem is looking ahead for Butler is he's a senior, so he's not going to be here next year. So, but he's another kid who's very quietly having a solid year for them.
Okay, let's move on to our over-under segment. It's getting harder and harder to come up with these. I think I came up with a couple interesting ones. We talk about how unpredictable North Catholic is. Well, they're going up against an opponent that's kind of been predictable in a bad way this year, Uniontown. Uniontown's 0-7. They've been giving up points by a bushel load. 42.1 per game Uniontown's been giving up. North Catholic's been all over the map. They've scored 51 week, 12 the next week. So my first over-under, guys, I'll start with you, Derek. Over-under 42.1 points this week for North Catholic against Uniontown.
Is this for the total game or just for North Catholic?
For North Catholic.
Just for North Catholic.
Yeah, against Uniontown.
Okay.
I'm going over here.
So it's 42.1 points for
I know. I just want to make sure I was reading it right.
North Catholic has a long road trip. I grew up 15 miles north of Uniontown. I know that area. They're going to the bowels of Fayette County, and they're going to get off of that bus, and they're going to take out their frustrations on Uniontown. Not that that's hard to do. I'm sorry. Uniontown is.
Yeah, I saw them against Freeport, and they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and that was the highlight of the game for them. They ended up losing 33 yards after that before they gained another yard. So.
Zach Rocco to have a big game passing, and Eamon Straub to have a big game rushing the ball for North Catholic. Over 42.1.
Johnny, you agree with Eric? Are they going over 42?
I do agree. The Red Raiders are going to be rated in their hometown. It's going to be ugly because, as you mentioned, like North Catholic, you can't predict what they're going to do, but I think this week you can predict what they're going to do. I mean, their offenses do. It's almost every other week with them. Their offense scores a few points, then they score a ton of points, then they score a few points, then they score a ton of points. It's time for them to score a ton of points. They're going to do that at the expense of Uniontown. So I'm going over.
Well, I'm going under. They're going to score 42. So technically they'll be under.
Right.
Technically they'll be under.
Yeah, would be
they
under.
might all be in the first half, and then I think the benches are going to empty for North Catholic, not in a bad way, like in a brawl or anything, but they're going to put in other backups. And
Again,
no Reds Pirates?
No, I'm predicting a 42-14 final.
Not trying to pick on Uniontown, but the backups from North Catholic will punch.
Yeah, because the Freeport backups did a pretty good job against Uniontown when they played. So that's the first over-under for this week. Let's go to another one. We talked about Teddy Ruffner and about how the best way to stop him is to not let him have the ball. But that's kind of the theme of this over-under. By the end of the season, including playoffs, will Teddy Ruffner have more than 290 carries? John?
I see him going over that because I think if my math's correct, I think he's up about 180 right now, about 180 carries right now.
Yeah,
I think that's where
he's averaging 26 a game.
Yeah, I think he's about 180. I think I added it up. I think he's about 180 carries now. So that would be
182.
Another 111 to go over 290. 3 regular season games left. This kid's carried the ball 35 times in a game before. And I'm counting on Mars probably playing at least a couple of playoff games that I'm going over.
Derek, where do you see his carries landing?
I think it's going to be over, and the biggest reason for that is I picked North Hills to beat Mars last week. Well, Mars beat North Hills.
Better seed.
So better seed. You would think, in theory, an easier first-round opponent. So instead of going one and done, like I thought Mars was going to in the playoffs, I think they're going to be playing at least 2 games in the playoffs, and that's one whole extra game worth of carries. So I'm going over here. You mentioned Cooper Baxter as a catcher in baseball?
Yeah.
So it's Teddy Ruffner.
So is
Teddy Ruffner. That's right. Yes, he is.
He's a catcher, and he's got a catcher's mentality, and but he's got the speed to go with it. I covered a game earlier this year. I knew he was a tough runner. I didn't realize he had the speed that he does. So you stick a catcher's mentality with a running back and throw in some speed. He doesn't run like a catcher.
I saw him with that 88-yard run against Shale. I covered that game, and he ran away from Shaler's secondary down the field. He ran away from him.
We have a number of wrestlers and a number of catchers playing
We do.
football this year, and they're all having great
Yeah.
seasons. That's interesting. I'm going to go over too because I think Mars will win that first playoff game, and that's going to be the key. Because Ruffner's going to get, if they win a playoff game, Ruffner's going to get 35 carries in that game. And if they play a second playoff game, Ruffner's going to get 35 carries in that game. So that's 70 right there. So he's going to go over. I think he's going to go over 300 actually. So I probably set that a little low.
It's a Teddy Ruffner show.
Yeah, I set that a little low maybe, but we'll see. All right, let's move on to our predictions. Let's first start, Derek, with how we all did last week, including Scoop.
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, I went 7-4. It's horrible. Scoop, yeah. Scoop and you guys all went 9-2.
9-2.
Oh wow, that's probably worse than that. Okay,
Good.
And I take that back. Scoop went 8-3.
8-3.
You guys went 9-2. Scoop went 8-3.
Scoop's still behind.
Scoop is. You guys are now leading the pack. Both of you are 57-15. I'm 56-16, and Scoop's 55-17.
So you went from first to third.
Third, yeah. I'm in front of Scoop though. So
but it's still anybody's race.
Come on, Bird, bring it.
It's anybody's race.
I'm not finishing. I'm not going below Scoop this year.
And the moral words of philosopher Ricky Bobby: if you ain't first, you're last.
Oh, that's so.
Let's go to our.
Wait, did you just call out Scoop? Did you just call out?
Oh yeah, bring the Bird. I'm not finishing behind him this year. I'm sick of it.
All right, let's start with
crap on your head or something.
I'm trying to move on with the show.
Oh, sorry. Take control.
I am in control.
Take
I'm
control.
in the center seat.
Take control.
All right, let's move on to our first game. I guess this is now a Saturday game, right, John? Butler at
It
Seneca
is.
At Duquesne University?
Noon at Duquesne University, yes.
They moved it because of field availability, so we'll start with that one anyway, since it's a Saturday game. Butler at Central Catholic. John, go.
Well, Central Catholic, it's all about their offensive and defensive lines. I mean, they have 4 D1 caliber players there. Butler is young up front. They're not going to be able to stop that line. I think Central rolls 44-7.
Derek, what do you think about this matchup on a Saturday afternoon matinee?
Central Catholic's only loss this year is by 1 point to North Allegheny.
Two-point conversion. About a 2-point conversion.
So, yep, Art Walker went for it and he got it. So Central Catholic's a very strong team. They beat Pine Richland pretty good a few weeks ago, 29-7.
Yes, they
You
did.
hold that offense to 7 points, you're doing something right.
Yep.
And also on offense, they have a running back named Eddie Tillman. He's approaching 1,000 yards rushing. He's got 12 touchdowns. Central Catholic 48-8.
Yeah, Butler's looking for 2 things out of this game. See how long we can be competitive. See if we can hold up, and let's just not get anybody hurt. Because
they can't afford to get anybody hurt.
Because they're starting to get some guys back,
Yeah.
and you would hate to see them go to Central and get physically beat up because they're going to lose this game. I don't think anyone would say that otherwise. So I say Central winning 49-8.
Next.
So let's go Seneca Valley at Woodland Hills. Another matchup, maybe teams that aren't quite equal. I know Woodland Hills is having a rough season there. How do you see this one go?
Yeah, well, when's the last time? They've had years where they were 500,
but they've
had other years where they've been really good. When's the last time Woodland Hills had 1 win this late in the season? I mentioned Ethan West earlier. Pass catching and rushing, he had 144 yards from scrimmage last week, 2 touchdowns. I think we're going to see more of that. I think he's going to help the Raiders offense control this game. And I have Seneca Valley winning this one fairly easily, 36-16.
What are your thoughts, John?
I agree. This is just not a very good Woodland Hills team this year. Very rare for them. But they are still Woodland Hills, and they're playing at home. I think they'll give them a bit of a scrap. But Seneca Valley will win 28-17.
No, I think Seneca got things figured out last week. I think Ethan West is going to get more touches as the season goes on. I think he's going to get more touches this week. Still got Gabe Lawson. Gabe Lawson's going to do Gabe Lawson things in this game. And how many times do you get a chance to go into Woodland Hills and play a down Woodland Hills team? And you got to be salivating a little bit. So I see Seneca winning 35-14. All right, Newcastle at Knock. Knock's on a 2-game losing streak. They did not look good against a really good South Fayette team. I thought they put up a better showing. John, do you think Knock gets back on track?
I think they do get back on track, but I think this is the week's first slobber knocker. I think this is a slobber knocker. It could really be one if it plays in the grass. The grass field at Knox could really be. But I think the grass field is actually going to help Knox in this game. I think it's going to help us because
doesn't Newcastle play on grass?
Newcastle.
Taggart Stadium?
Taggart Stadium is that grass, isn't it?
I think they.
I've never been there.
I think they turfed it.
It's been a while since I've been to Newcastle.
I think they turfed that, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've been there too.
It's been a few years.
Demetrius McKnight for Newcastle is just a burner. He's got 12 touchdowns, 694 yards rushing. He's caught 11 balls for 199. He's a game-breaking type of player that Knox. But I think Knox defense will contain him. Tight ball game, not a must-win for Knox, but pretty close to it. I'm picking the Knights 21-14. Good game.
Derek, your thoughts?
I was all ready to pick Newcastle in this game. I was ready to pick Knock on a 3-game losing streak here, but I looked at the score last week, and I know Blackhawks got a good football team, but they beat Newcastle up pretty good, 26-6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they kind of 20-point win. That's not exactly a close ball game, and Knock's playing at home. I'm going to go with Knock here against my original thoughts on this game, and I'm taking the Knights to win. Like you said, John, a close game, 24-21, Knock.
There you go.
So I think Knox is just too good to lose 3 in a row. And they're at home. Mm-hmm. And this is a big game for them. I think this is a TV game, too.
It's a big game. It is. It's a big game for both teams.
It's a TV game, so.
It's a big game for both teams.
It is a big game for both teams.
It is.
But I think Knock is just going to have a little bit more in the tank at this point. And I think their desperation is going to be a little bit more because they don't want to lose 3 straight because that's really going to put a damper on that great start they got off to. It's almost going to be like a reverse situation of what they did the last few years, and they don't want that. So I don't think they're going to let that happen. I think Matt Goodwin has a really good game, and I think they win. They're going to say 28-21, Knock. All right, it's Fox Chapel against Mars this week at the MAC, I assume. Yes. Yeah. John, what do you think of this one? Let's start with you.
I think the Mars offense held to 14 points last week. Like I said, and they were held to 14 because, as I mentioned earlier, Whitfield was able to grind it out and keep that Mars offense off the field. Fox Chapel will not be able to do that. They just don't have the horses to do that against that Mars defense. I think Fox Chapel will score a couple times in this game. They'll make it somewhat interesting, but they're not going to stop Mars. I'm picking Mars 42-20.
Maybe the best question here, Derek, is how many carries and yards does Teddy Ruttner get in this game against Fox Chapel?
That's the thing. You go into a game where you're expected to get up early on the team, and you could say, well, what is Mars' offense? What is Mars' offense going to do?
I forgot to silence mine.
What is
I apologize.
What is Mars' offense going to do? They could say, okay, we're going to be up on Fox Chapel in this game, pretty big. You would think even by halftime. Maybe they try to throw the ball because they want to get that passing game work. No, they're going to give the ball to Teddy Ruttner 30, 35 times, probably 230, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, Ruttner night. Another day at the office.
Yep.
Last week, Fox Chapel was down 10-0 to Connellsville and came back and beat Connellsville. But this Fox Chapel team's down. I don't see them being able to stay with Mars. 40-7, Planets won at home big.
Okay, I just broke the cardinal rule of upon further review shows in movie theaters. I left my phone on, so apologize for that.
Producer shoots you a dirty.
I know. If looks could kill, I'd be like Mason Rudolph on the field right now.
That's
unconscious for 4 minutes with no cart. That works. Anyway, I agree with everything you guys said about Mars, and I think they roll in this game. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I say 35-7 Mars. All right, let's go on. We got Freeport at Burleson. This is a good game, Derek. This is a huge game for both teams. Both teams obviously have playoff aspirations. Freeport, we talked about earlier about how they're digging themselves out of that early hole they dug for themselves. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, right now there's a 3-way tie for the last playoff spot in that conference. 3 teams are 3-3: Burl, Freeport, and Deer Lakes. Now, Freeport already beat Deer Lakes, so if they beat Burl here, that would be 2 wins over the 2 teams that are closest to them in the conference standings. So I like I like Freeport. I think it's not going to be easy. I mean, Burle's fighting for their playoff lives too, just like Freeport. In fact, I'm picking Freeport in a 1-point game, 24-23. Ricky Hunter with a winning field goal.
Ricky Hunter with the winning field goal. John, how do you see this one playing out?
I'm not totally, even though they are tied right now, I'm not totally sold on Burle. I'm just not. I mean, North Catholic destroyed them early in the season, 54-6.
Yes, they did.
Pounded them.
But North Catholic's unpredictable. So
they are.
I don't know if you can get anything out of North Catholic score at this point.
But they barely got past Deer Lakes, 16-14, and Freeport handled Deer Lakes. Burle lost to Mount Pleasant last week by 16 points. Like I said, they can throw the football. That they have an excellent passing game. The quarterback's throwing for over 1,200 yards. He's got a great receiver. But I just think Freeport will wear them out. I think Freeport has shown now they can run the ball and throw the ball. I picked Freeport 27-12.
Yeah, Freeport's at a different level right now. I've seen them a number of times this year. Every time I've seen them, they've gotten a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Last week, they were really on point against Deer Lakes. They were really clicking on offense and defense. They've been going up against a lot of teams that can throw the ball, and they've been doing a pretty good job against them.
Yes,
they've gotten a lot of practice on their coverages. And they did a pretty good job in the second half against the Deer Lakes quarterback. He threw for 200 in the first half, 26 in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Freeport, like I said, they're at a different level right now. They're clicking. They know who they are. They have an identity on both sides of the ball. Ricky Hunter is. We talked about unsung players. I think Ricky Hunter is another one of those guys that doesn't maybe get a lot of credit for what he's capable of doing on the field. So I see Freeport winning this game. I see him winning it by a couple touchdowns. I think it's going to be a little bit of a high-scoring game. I'm going to say 42-24. Freeport.
And Ricky Hunter plays all three phases of the game: defense, offense.
And he's a dangerous returner as well, as he is. All right, here's the North Catholic Uniontown game. We talked about this one earlier. I kind of already have an idea of what your scores are going to be for this one, but we'll start with you, Derek. It's not a matter of if North Catholic's going to win, right? It's going to be what's the score going to be. So what's the score going to be?
Well, the over/under was 42.1 or 53-12. I got North Catholic winning this game 53-12. That's a long ride back home if you lose a game, especially the Uniontown. And Trojans aren't going to have to worry about that. They win this game handily, 53-12 Trojans.
I would say that would be a major upset if Uniontown wants to be in
that would be the shot heard around the state.
I would agree.
So what's your prediction?
Before we pick this game, I want to go back to Ricky Hunter. We just did.
Okay.
Got word today that Ricky Hunter has been chosen to be the kicker for the North squad in the annual Blue Gray All-Star High School All-Star Football Classic down in Tampa, Florida on January the 4th. So that's a major honor for him.
It is.
So congrats to him. I just wanted to throw that out there for Ricky Hunter.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Great honor for him. North Catholic will pound Uniontown. Won't be a game. 47-6. That's something.
Well, I'm going to stick to my under 42.1. I'm going to say 42-14. North Catholic. All right, Ridgeway at Kern City. Kern City, obviously, John, coming off of that big come from behind win.
Absolutely.
Ridgeway's typically a tough test. How do you see this one playing out?
I'll tell you what, Ridgeway has just destroyed their last 5 opponents. I mean, let me rattle these off. 42-7 over Montauk, 55-0 over Bradford, 42-7 over Brockway, 61-6 over Punxsutawney, and then last week's stunner, 42-0 over previously undefeated Clarion. Mm-hmm. So this team is rolling. They rushed for 1,600 yards and 29 touchdowns as a team, 6.6 yards per carry. They don't have one stand-up back. They have 4 backs with about an equal amount of yardage. They've also thrown the ball for over 1,000 yards. This is just a powerhouse team. Coin City will play with them. We'll give them a game, but I'm calling Ridgeway to win this one 28-20.
Yeah, 42-0. They beat Clarion. 42-0.
I saw that score on d9sports.com a couple nights ago, and I had to check another source.
I thought it was a misprint. I did too.
I had to go to Max Preps to see, is this score right? Yeah. So that score, I'm not, Ridgeway's a good team. 42 points, 42-0 shutout of Clarion. That just...
Now Clarion didn't have the Newcomb kid off
right.
Newcomb, but that's only a slight factor to me.
Still,
Ridgeway has given up 54 points all season. So considering that, I actually think Kern City is going to have a decent offensive performance. I got them scoring 17, but I got Ridgeway scoring 30. So 30-17 Elkers.
Yeah, it is at Kern City. Ridgeway, that's a pretty long trip. But
It
Ridgeway,
is.
I mean, you set it up to
It's
yourself.
just been steamrolling teams.
Well, some of those opponents are weak, but
Yeah, some more.
I would maybe tend to lean a little bit more towards Carson City if I didn't see that 42-0 against Clarion score, because that to me tells me that they're better than beating up on. They're not just beating up on patsies. They're beating up on pretty good teams. I'm going to say Ridgeway's going to win, but I think Carson City keeps this one close. I think Carson City gives them a fight. I'm going to say Ridgeway wins 28-24.
Just throwing this out there, though, that Ridgeway's lone loss was to Kane, who Quincy City just beat.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
But that was,
they beat them in
when was that?
25-21 in week 2.
Second week.
Second week of the season.
Teams.
Teams change.
You can go down
Yeah.
all of our teams,
Yep.
and you can say every single one of them is not the same team they were in week 2.
Very true.
Every single one. So that could be the same for Ridgeway.
Very
The
true.
same as I was in week 2.
I don't know. Your hair's
I
not
never.
quite as long.
Well, yeah.
I'm a lot different.
Forgot we know that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep moving here with the picks. We go to Montauk at St. Mary's. Montauk's finding a little bit of rhythm now. They're getting guys back that they were missing this year due to health. And J.D. Desicino, 3 straight 100-yard games for Montauk.
Mm-hmm.
So they found, like I said, they found their identity with him kind of getting more the bulk of the carries. How do you see this one playing out, John?
I see this being a really close game. I think Montauk's going to go up there and fight with them, but I'm picking St. Mary's win a tight one, 27-21.
How about you, Derek? How do you see this one playing out?
I see this game as Montauk's running game with J.D. Desicino against that St. Mary's passing game. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this kid's name, the last name right. Christian Codriat?
Yeah.
Caldriat?
Yep.
Anyway, he's putting up monster numbers this year, and it's weird because St. Mary, I know they got a new coach this year, but there was like a 4-year stretch where they passed for like 1,000 yards in 4 years combined. And this kid's well over 1,000 yards this year. I think he's got like 1,300 yards already. So it's the passing game against St. Mary's, against Montauk's running game. I see the passing game for the Dutch winning out 28-16. But if Montauk can get that running game going, that's the best way to stop a high-powered offense. Just keep them on the sidelines.
I'm picking Montauk in this game. And I'll tell you
go.
guys why.
All right.
Because of what Derek said. I think they're going to control the ball with their running game. They're going to keep St. Mary's offense off the field. And remember, a few weeks ago, Montauk went up against a pretty good passing attack and only gave up 22 points against Brookville.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they know they can do it. They know they can hem in and they can control a little bit of passing attack. They have confidence in their secondary. So I think they find a way to get it done this week.
Well, another thing that helps Montauk in this game is the fact St. Mary's, as good as their offense has been, their defense is still not. It's not a real stout defense. It's really not.
No, so
I mean,
they
could run the ball against that team.
And thus my score.
I know. I hear you.
Will reflect that because I think Montauk's going to put up a few touchdowns. I think Montauk wins 28-25. And now we go to our favorite team that we've been talking about all year, Union AC Valley, coming off of a tough one there last week. Derek, did they get that bad taste out of their mouth against Cameron County?
Yeah, they get back in the winning track here. Cameron County, there's some not good teams up north in that small school North League, North Division. Cameron County is the worst. I mean, they are the worst of the worst.
It's a very PC way of saying it. Not good teams.
They have scored more than 7 points in just 2 of their 6 games. They've gotten blown out in virtually every game. I think their closest game is like a 20-point loss. Union AC, Brad Dittman, man, he's got to be fuming over last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
He really thought that team had a shot, not only to compete with Keystone, but to beat them.
Yeah, and then
Union AC, 32-7. Big game for Tanner Merwin, both sides of the ball.
As Derek said, Cameron County is excellence challenged.
They are.
So how you see this one? You have to see Falcon Knights.
Oh, yeah. Falcon Knights get their swagger back. There's no question about that. I'm actually picking a very similar score to Derek's. I'm picking Union AC Valley 35-7 over Cameron County.
Yeah, I think Union AC Valley gets back on the only giving up 7 points bandwagon.
Yeah.
I see them winning 32-7. So I think we all have them get scored in 7 because Union seems like when they win, they win something to 7.
Yep, they do.
So that's gonna play out. Now here's another huge game. huge game in District 10 in that region. Slippery Rock at Hickory. Hickory's had a kind of a surprising season. I don't think a lot of people thought they would be as good as they are. In Slippery Rock, we talked about them getting better here as the season's going on. Really, last week, really kind of putting it together. So, you think that's enough for Slippery Rock to go to Hickory and get the win?
I'll tell you, I picked this not only as Slum Knocker number 2 for the week, but I picked this as our game of the week. I think this is our game of the week. I see this being a classic high school game. I'm picking Slippery Rock and a squeaker, 21-20.
Slobber Knocker and a squeaker, Derek.
Yep.
What do you got for us?
We got the District 10 preview magazine where they named the favorite to win each region, dark horses. Hickory was nowhere mentioned in the whole thing.
Never mentioned as a favorite or a dark horse.
No, and Bill Dungy, the first-year coach up there, has done a great job. They beat Sharon earlier this year, which was a shocker. It's at home. Does Slippery Rock need to win this game to make the playoffs?
That is the scuttlebutt.
Okay, find out for us this week.
We'll find out.
But
I'm not sure how the region works anymore.
Well, that's hard to believe that that'd be the case, though.
Well, they're 1-2 in the region.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 games.
There's only 4 games.
Okay.
In any event, I'm picking the Hornets to sting the Rockets, 27-18.
Oh.
I've been going back and forth on this one pretty much all weekend and even today. I've been like flipping coins to see, okay, heads is Slippery Rock, tails is Hickory, and even that came out even.
Scientific way to look at it.
Yeah. So if I have to pick a winner, which I do, since that's the whole point of the segment, I have to pick Hickory. I think Hickory's gonna hold serve at home. It's gonna be a great game, a close game, a 1-point game, 28-27 Hickory.
Come through from your Rockets. I'm with you, Rockets.
It's on the road.
I know, John informed me earlier today that for the first time in 19 falls, I'm covering Slippery Rock football this week.
That's really the first ever Slippery Rock game I covered.
Yep.
There you go. Wow, that is interesting.
Larry, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming for you, Larry.
That could be an interesting segment because I have not covered Butler. I have not covered Seneca Valley. I think those are the only 2 teams I have not covered.
I've covered them all.
And you covered them all, and now you probably will have covered them all.
Is Slippery Rock the only team you haven't covered?
No, I've never covered. I don't think I've ever covered Freeport.
Really? That's another weird team that you have.
Well, I've never covered Union AC Valley consolidated team, but I have covered Union and AC Valley when they were separate.
I counted them as.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, that was a little segue.
Okay.
We do have one more game, don't we?
Yes,
Southern Academy is hosting Valley on Saturday. Yes, I forgot, Miss Producer, to put that on the sheet. I apologize. So add that to your docket for the week.
First the
That's
cell phone,
second
now
nasty dirty look I've gotten from her.
I'll tell you what.
Yes. So anyway, John, Valley at Summit, another Saturday game. How do you see that one panning out?
Well, Summit made some real strides last week.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they lost a tough one to Shady Side, 2020, and I think they'll make more strides this week. I don't think Valley is a particularly strong team, and I think Summit gets that much closer, but I still think Valley's going to edge them out. I'm picking Valley to win this game 34-26.
You think Summit gets that elusive win, Derek?
John, you're picking Valley?
I am.
Okay. Here's another game where I was all ready to pick Summit because Valley had been down, and then I looked at the result of Valley's last 2 games. They lost games to Freedom and Apollo Ridge by a combined 11 points, and both of those teams combined are 13-1 this year. So Valley's Muzzy Colosimo's he's found something with the Vikings down there. They're not winning. They're not winning, but they're keeping games close against good teams. So because of that, I got to pick Valley 27-18.
Yeah, I'm picking Valley too because I do think it's going to be a competitive game for the most part. So I think Summit's starting to make some strides, and we see this every year with Summit. It takes them 6, sometimes 7 weeks to get some cohesion going because everyone's new and it's hard to throw a team together. Guys that haven't even met each other.
Football, it's really hard.
Football is the ultimate team sport, and you have to have. The successful Summit Academy teams have gelled really quick. This one isn't gelling as quickly, and that's why they're. And plus, look at the section they're playing in. They're playing. I mean, it's like talking about unfair playing field for Summit. It's a very unfair playing field. Now they have a shot here against Valley, but I don't think they get it done. I think Valley's going to win. I think they're going to win by 10. I'll say 30-20, Valley.
Okay.
All right, now this is a little different.
It is a little different.
And what about? We're going to talk about something that's out of our county, but I think it applies to the world even as a whole. Sportsmanship. We talk about it all the time, but these two teams actually showed it on the field. I'm talking about the Upper St. Clair and Brashear girls soccer teams. They played last week at Upper St. Clair. Upper St. Clair was up 8-0 at the half. We've seen a lot of those soccer results this year, 8-0 at the half. But what these two teams did, I thought was really interesting and deserves to be talked about. The two coaches and the teams got together at the half. It's 8-0. Obviously, Brashear wasn't going to win this game. So they split the teams up evenly. Upper St. Clair and Brashear split up, and they fielded one team and the same in the other, trying to make teams even. And they played the second half. They had a blast. They took a big group picture at the end. So what I want to talk about with you guys, is this something that we should see more of? Should we see more of that happen, like in these 10-0 blowouts? Should coaches start thinking a little bit more outside the box as far as sportsmanship goes, and giving? This is something that these girls remember for a lifetime. They're not going to remember it was 8-0 at half. They're going to
Brashear's girls will, yeah.
I think Upper St. Clair girls will.
Maybe they will.
What was the final score there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think it even really matters.
Okay.
It was 8-0 at half. So, but what do you think? Do you think the coaches and programs should think more outside the box and do more stuff like this in these blowouts?
Only if I agree with you. It is a really a feel-good kind of thing in terms of sportsmanship, but only if the game is officially called off and ended at halftime. The final score is 8-0. The game's over.
I'm sure it was.
We're forfeiting the second half or whatever you do, whatever the
I'm sure
I'm not even sure what it would be. If that's the case, I have no problem with it. You want to, because number one, it's helping a Brashear program. Yeah. It's helping a young struggling program to mix and match with a veteran, a high caliber team like Upper St. Clair. And that's a great thing to me. That's again something that high school athletics should be all about. As long as it's done unofficially, the actual game is ended now, and the two coaches and teams that agree to do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I assume. I don't know. I don't even know if they kept score in the second half. But I assume they just said, in case 8-0.
Right.
That's the final. But what are your thoughts on that?
I came in here prepared to talk. I didn't realize that the game was called at halftime. I thought
we're guessing it is. We don't know.
I thought you basically had a situation in the second half where some Upper St. Clair players were playing against other Upper St. Clair players, and I was in an official game. I'm totally not for that.
No, I'm sure.
I don't know if you can do that officially. I don't think you can do that officially.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so basically what they held was an impromptu scrimmage. In effect, that's what they did. I'm okay with that, but to ask kids that put their time in, parents driving them to practice, putting all the time in, off-season work, to basically ask them to play for another team against their teammates in an official game. No, if it's a scrimmage, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. I didn't see too much of the particulars. I just saw bits and pieces of when it happened, and I knew this. I would have to believe that at halftime the two coaches and officials got together and said, "Look, we're not going to play the second half. We'll just go down as an 8-0 game, but this is what we want to do. We want to split up teams, play the second half." Just to have fun and get experience for some of these players.
Yeah, the more I think about this, it almost would have had to run that way, because I don't think the PAW would have approved it. I mean, I don't think they would have okayed it.
The officials probably would have said, "No, you can't do that. You have to play it. Play it straight."
Yeah.
My thoughts is, we see a number of these scores coming in on a nightly basis for these soccer games. Kind of also goes back to the conversations we've had on the show in the past about the mercy rule. I think this is a great way to get a little bit of both. You get a mercy rule. It's 8-0 at the half. Okay, game's over, but you still get to play a second half, and you get experience for players that need experience, and you get memories that you can think about for a lifetime.
Some of these Coin City teams could do this against every opponent in District 9 almost. Just about. I only say that half jokingly. Just about they could.
I would like to know, just out of curiosity, who brought this up? Was it the Brashear coach?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Or it could have been the Upper St. Clair coach. I mean,
I
would be interested to see who kind of basically came up with the idea.
You would think it'd probably be the coach that was trailing. Probably, I would think.
I'm not sure what the genesis of this idea was, but I think it's great that they did it, and I think more coaches and more programs should think a little bit outside the box and do something, maybe not exactly like this, but something.
Yeah, because the trailing coach would have to be the one to say, hey, we're not going to play the second half. The trailing coach would have to inform the team that's winning, hey, we're not going to play the second half. You know?
Who knows?
It'd be their decision not to.
They might have said before the game, let's play a half and see what the score is, and if it's really out of hand, why don't we try to do that?
That's possible. It's possible.
Obviously, everyone was on board, and it worked out great. And to me, it's the memories. Because, like I said earlier, the Upper St. Clair and Brashear players probably aren't going to remember it was 8-0. Probably going to remember, hey, how fun was this? I got to play against some of my teammates, and I got to play with an opponent, and that kind of sportsmanship. I just thought it was a great story. So that concludes this week's Upon Further Review. As always, please check out our football feast coverage every week in the Butler Eagle. Every Sunday we cover a number of games with a number of photos. We do a lot with high school football. We really do a lot with a lot of high school sports, like going to Carson City tonight for the soccer game. We try to hit everything. We try to showcase all the great athletes we have in the county. So please check it out.